There are cases in history that don't behave like normal mysteries. They don't resolve. They don't fade. They fracture. Official explanations exist, but none of them close the story, because something always remains. A detail that doesn't fit, a witness that doesn't change their story, or a moment that feels wrong. Tonight, we're going into 3 of those moments. Not legends, not rumors, but recorded events that still sit in official files with no final answer. And if one of them is real the way it's described, then reality isn't as stable as we think it is. Let's begin. December 1980, Suffolk, England. 2 military bases sit quietly near Rendlesham Forest. RAF Bentwaters and RAF Woodbridge. Nothing unusual is expected that night until the lights appear. Security personnel report something strange in the forest. At first, just lights moving through the trees, but not like aircraft, not like flares. Something controlled, something intelligent. As men enter the woods, the atmosphere changes. The radio chatter becomes fragmented. Flashlights catch shapes between the trees, and then a structure. Some describe it as triangular. Others say it simply wasn't clear enough to understand what it was. One witness, Airman Jim Peniston, later claimed something even stranger. He approaches the object. He sees the symbols etched into its surface. Not English, not military markings. Something else. Something unknown. Radiation readings are allegedly taken. They show anomalies. The site is documented, then controlled back into silence. Official explanations would later suggest misidentified lights, possibly a lighthouse in the distance. But the witness never agreed, and the forest never gave up its story. Because sometimes, when something is seen by trained observers, the question isn't what they saw, it's why it never came back. But not all unexplained events are seen in the sky. Some appear on your screen. November 22nd, 1987. Chicago television viewers settle in for the night. Sports, news, normal programming. Then, the screen breaks. A figure appears, wearing a rubber mask modeled after a television character, Max Headroom. But something is wrong. The movements are jerky, unnatural, like the signal is struggling to hold him together. Hours later, it happens again, this time during a broadcast of a horror series. The figure reappears. He speaks in distorted fragments, mocking television, mocking viewers, mocking everything. And then, something even stranger. He is struck off camera. A fly swatter. The broadcast ends. The FCC and FBI launch inquiries, but the signal origin is never traced. No equipment is recovered. No group comes forward. No explanation survives scrutiny. Why it's unsettling? Because this wasn't random noise. It was structured, intentional. Someone had to hijack the broadcast signals, maintain transmission stability, and evade tracking systems. In 1987, and yet no one was ever found. If Rendlesham was something seen in the physical world, and Max Headroom was something that entered our technology, then the case next suggests something far more intimate, something that doesn't just appear. It involves instructions and obedience. August 20th, 1966. Niterói, Brazil. A young boy climbs a hillside looking for a kite. Instead, he finds two men lying side by side in the grass, dressed in suits, coats neatly arranged, and both wearing metal eye masks. The scene: there is no violence, no struggle, no visible injury, just stillness and precision. Nearby, investigators find 2 empty water bottles, a pocket of capsules, and a notebook. Inside the notebook, instructions, timed instructions, as if someone had planned the final hours step by step. The final timeline would go as follows: 1630, be at location. 1830, ingest capsules. After effect, protect mental mass. No explanation of who wrote it, no reason for the mass, no named organization, just procedure. Every attempt to explain it falls at some point. Poisoning doesn't match the scene, ritual theories lack cultural grounding, and there's no scientific experimentation that has been documented. And worst of all, no one else ever came forward. 3 cases, 3 different worlds: a forest, a television signal, a hillside, but all share the same absence: a missing explanation that refuses to settle. And when patterns like that appear, people start to ask a different question: not what happened, but what connects them. Rendlesham shows something entering physical space. Max Headroom shows something entering systems. The lead mask case shows something entering human behavior itself. Each one suggests interaction. Not random causes, but structured intrusion. Something observed, something tested, something incomplete. Officially, these are unrelated events, separate countries, separate decades, separate explanations that never fully explain anything. But mysteries don't need permission to feel connected. They only need patterns we don't yet understand. And until they are resolved, they remain open, watching, waiting, just like the questions they leave behind. And the uncomfortable truth is this: we may not be looking at 3 unsolved cases. We may be looking at 3 moments where something briefly intersected with us and moved on. If you've watched this far, then you already know. Some answers don't close mysteries, they expand them. If you want more deep dives into unexplained cases, cryptids, and conspiracy history, subscribe and stay tuned, because the next story might not just be a story at all.